Hey guys, we're just gonna chill a little bit tonight. Just gonna play some Minecraft. Just gonna hang out. I've been playing a ton of Fallout New Vegas recently, but tonight I just wanted to play something a little different and just kind of relax a little. So that's what we're gonna do. Let me get all the quartz blocks back out because I'm weirdly obsessed with them. And then we'll do like a sea lantern as well. And then maybe some white glass. Yeah, probably right there. What is that? That must be new. Sea pickle. What? Why would you need a sea pickle? Whatever. It's an end rod. I don't know what some of this is. I'm kind of out of touch with like modern Minecraft, you know? I can craft in it for the most part, but I don't know what some of the blocks are. I guess they added lots of sea creatures and stuff. I don't know, that's pretty neat. Um, what does that block look like? Oh, that's kind of cool, actually. This is what I'm working with here. I built this whole thing 100% by myself. Just out of, I guess you can't call it boredom because I was never bored during the process, but it's mostly just a random creation. Just a little passion project for fun. I have a bit of a love for this sort of architecture, I guess you could say. Now, I want to add some sort of fountain thing, but I'm not sure how to do that right now. Maybe if I just start building it here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 away. Okay. I'm gonna keep it like that, kind of. And then I'm gonna build it straight down like that. Oh, my bad. Everything I do, I like to create some sort of a sense of symmetry, so I'll probably end up doing that with this as well. And I'm also sort of a perfectionist about making sure my materials are consistent. So like if you use a material there and it's supposed to be implied that, it's a solid thing all the way up through there. I don't care so much about digging all the way down there and then over to here like that, but I do care about making it look like it's that way, if that makes sense. logically consistent, you know? Okay. That'll work kind of. I'm not sure exactly what to do with this. I don't know, I am gonna dig one down because I don't like it being multiple blocks high. Or do I? I don't know. Do I? No. I'll dig in a bit. Okay. Oh crap, I didn't mean to select that. Okay. I don't know, hopefully that doesn't look too terrible. I think it'll work personally. Ah, crap. Okay, and then... Now, admittedly, this would look cooler with some sea lanterns at the bottom. But, I don't know. I don't really have a precise plan for this. I'm just kind of chilling. Just kind of coming up with something as I go. I'm gonna try not to play too terribly late, but I'll play for a while. I'll play for a decent bit of time. Maybe 1 or 2 hours. And then I'll call it a night at that point. Can you pour milk yet? If you can't pour milk yet, I'm gonna be... Yeah, that's disappointing. Man, if you could pour milk out... I know that sounds really silly, but that would look so cool aesthetically. I don't know why they haven't thought about that. Or if they have, why they haven't implemented it. Hmm. There we go. I'm actually gonna do reverse stairs right here. Hmm. It's kind of strange. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like it maybe breaks up the flow of it too much. You know what? I just there's something I don't like about it. I think it's the lack of symmetry. It's bugging me a little bit. There we go. Okay, time to fix this piece of crap. Okay. Um pardon my pardon my language there, but I'm just not terribly pleased with this. In fact, we're not even going to do it that way. We're just gonna have like a straight up missing section right here. I've changed my mind. I'm telling you, when I pick up this game, I turn into a mad genius. If I could make actual architectural structures using this game, I'd have a lot more money than I have right now. I'm telling you that. People would be like, "Hey, can you make a thing that's, you know, like blah 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 blah." Like just describe a feeling to me and I'll make it for you, you know? You're like, "Oh, you want something kind of comfy, kind of, you know, spacious and just kind of like warm vibes, you know?" I'll be like, "Heck yeah. Give me like 2 hours. I'll make you something awesome." You know what I mean? If I could figure out a way to monetize a thing like that, that would be a smart idea. Because I don't know what it is, but my brain likes doing this stuff. It just does. I like complicated, semi-routine, but like I don't know. I like games that I have to think about. You know, like Dark Souls and Hitman. Like in Dark Souls, I'm thinking about like, okay, you know, how can I mix things up in order to, you know, get past whatever obstacle it is, or how can I, you know, how can I perfect my my run through this environment, you know? Stuff like that, and like getting to map out the environment in your head and then remembering it like the back of your hand. And then stuff like in Hitman where, you know, most of the time I'm thinking about, okay, like how can I manipulate these NPCs into doing X, Y, and Z? You know, if I want this person here and I want to kill them with this, then how do I get them there, and how do I get the thing to kill them there, and how do I make it all work at the same time? And then once I get that down, it's like, okay, how can I cut corners here and make this faster? Um, and I think then at that point you can really start doing some crazy stuff once you start figuring out how to maximize the speed on that. That's when things get really fun. Okay, we're just gonna fill this in all the way back over here. But anyway, yeah, like there's this, just for an example, for anyone listening to this back, because I very much do encourage people to listen to my videos as like background stuff as well. Because really most of the YouTubers that I watch, that's what I do with them. I don't spend that much time actually watching YouTube, but I spend an insane amount of time listening to YouTube. You know, I like to listen to people talk about things that I have an interest in. And anyway, my thing that I was going to talk about was there was one time in Hitman, I think I have this on a stream somewhere, but a guy had challenged me to do his contract, and you had to kill, I think, a few people with explosives or something like that, explosive devices. And see, he expected me to have to deal with the guards because they would hear the explosion. So, you know, I would go in, sneak in, which was already hard enough, but then I would have to kill, you know, multiple targets that are, you know, somewhat in public, like not completely secluded to the point where no one would hear it. And I'd have to kill them with explosions. So he figured it would be loud. And then like, oh, okay, so you have to run, and then you have to like come up with a strategy on the fly for that. But instead, because I knew the game's mechanics well enough, I was able to use a breaching charge, which has a really quiet detonation and is not normally lethal, but at a certain proximity it is. And I used that instead, right? So I threw a coin into the corner, you know, got the guy to go pick it up, and then I threw a thing at his head to knock him out. Of course, he had to not be looking at me, otherwise he'd be a witness. And then I tossed the breaching charge into the corner and detonated it. In fact, I think I may not have even knocked the guy out. I think maybe I just detonated the thing. I may have actually just thrown the coin in there and detonated it. But anyway, I'm going to make this connect here real quick. And since this goes all the way out here, we're just going to make it consistent. Consistency is key. But anyway, yeah, it's creative sushi. Sounds like I'm saying sushi. Creative solutions like that really interest me in gaming. You know, that's why I like RPGs so much. Is you set out, you get to decide like what kind of character you want to play as, and then once you have that pinned down, you know, it's all about solving the problems that the world provides you. You know, and you do that with a particular skill set that you have decided to invest your character in, whatever that may be. And that's where the real fun comes in gaming. It's not the set pieces, it's not the you know, it's not all that pre-scripted nonsense. It's what the player gets to do with what they have available to them. That's what drives most great games, in my opinion. Like Fallout New Vegas, for example. I mean, it's not a perfect RPG, right? But it's really good. And the reason that it's so good, and I mean, it's not perfect at it, of course not, but is the ability of the player to kind of, just do what they want. I mean, I haven't run into a single roadblock in the game where I've been like, oh crap, I can't do that thing that I want. I just had to find like a creative solution in order to make it happen sometimes. Because it's not always like as simple as you immediately think, But honestly, that's kind of what makes it interesting. For example, I had to... Well, I didn't have to, but I was playing through, and I'm probably going to make a video telling the entire story of my Fallout New Vegas character, just because I think it would be an interesting concept to kind of take something like that and then tell it like a true story. Just for like entertainment purposes, Anyway, I was very like anti-Legion during my playthrough. If you don't know, the Legion is like a bunch of dudes dressed like sort of Romanesque, I guess. Real harsh, with a real like sense of moral superiority. But, obviously they're doing terrible things. Like, when you first come across them, I believe, well, depending on where you go, first time I ran into them was in some small town where they had, like, hung a bunch of dudes on crosses and stuff, and, made these people, like, play the lottery for their lives to see, like, who would live and who would die. And I was like, oh man, that's really messed up. I was like, I'm gonna cleanse the world of these guys, because I wanted to, because I didn't like them. And at a certain point, and this is the point that I was trying to get to. I'm sorry, I'm really rambly right now. Um, I wanted to take out their leader. His name is Caesar. But the thing about getting to Caesar was the camp, as soon as you go into it, they take your weapons away. And if you try to go into the fort, or sorry, into Caesar's tent, your companion has to stay outside too. So, in a lot of cases in fights and Fallout, you can kind of, piggyback off of the strength of your companions, because a lot of times they'll be a little bit stronger than you, and you can kind of like trigger a fight by punching somebody or something, and then have the companion do like most of the damage or whatever. It's a way to get through things if you're having trouble, like maybe you don't have enough healing supplies, but you have a companion nearby. You trigger the fight or trigger the part where the companion would see them, and then let them kind of do most of the work. And so I didn't have that as an option either. So basically, I just had like my bare fists. Now depending on your sneak skill, you can sneak in weapons or whatever, right? But I had really low sneak at the time. And so the only thing that I could sneak in was like a little 22 caliber silenced pistol. And I mean, that's fine and all, but the damage on it was terrible. And even with a critical attack, which normally does extra, normally there's a modifier for that. It didn't do hardly anything. And I just ended up getting absolutely destroyed by his guards, like each time that I would try it. So I was like, okay, how do I get rid of this guy? And I kept working for him, like hoping that eventually I would find a way that I could get to him, And then he had some issue with his brain, like I think he had a tumor. And you have the opportunity to do a speech check and pretend that you'd be able to do the procedure. And because my character, because I decided to focus on high speech skills for him, because I wanted him to be kind of like a smooth talking kind of guy who uses others for his own gain, sort of with sort of like an ambiguous sense of morality. That's sort of where I want my character to be. Um, with that, I used the speech check, and I was like, okay, I got him in this room now. We're gonna do the surgery, and this is it. This is where I get the guy. And so, because the game allowed me to, still have an opportunity to take out that guy, despite making it like extremely difficult, it was like, hey, I know this looks really difficult, but there's still a way. It's one of those things like with a Metroidvania game where a certain path is blocked off to a degree, but in a way that makes you think like, hey, I need to figure this out instead of way that's like, oh crap, I hit a roadblock, I'm done, I can't do this. Um, is a much more productive kind of failure, you know what I mean? Because every time I tried to kill Caesar and couldn't, I was like, okay, there's gotta be a way. I'm doing something wrong here. And I knew that because of the amount of freedom that the game had given me throughout my playthrough. And I was like, okay, I know how this game works at this point. It's not going to completely screw me over. I know that there's a way that I can achieve this. And that's what kept me going. So, I very much appreciate that sort of design where like in Hollow Knight, for example, you can gain new abilities every now and then, once you've progressed through certain parts. And, those open up entire new areas. But the reason that it works is because it puts stuff in front of you that you want. And you think like, oh, well crap, I can't get that. But it's there. And I don't see another way around. So, this is a challenge, right? And you try it a few times and you're like, okay, this isn't working. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. And then after a few more tries, you're like, okay, I get it. This is a thing to remember. And maybe if I come back later at some point, I'll be able to do this. And then, you play for a while and you completely forget about it. And then later, the game gives you an ability and you're like, that's really cool. I wonder where I could use that. And then you think about it a little bit and you're like, oh, wait, I think I remember something back here. And then you go and you find it and you're like, yeah, because you figure it out and you get all excited. And I don't know, it's just, it's a great, great feeling. I don't even remember how I started talking about all this. I'm really just rambling, but I'm gonna kind of continue anyway and just tell you about some of my thoughts on gaming in general. Um, so I believe I was talking about like players being given obstacles, uh, along with freedom, you know, and that being a powerful driving force for a lot of games, if not most of them. the point that I'm trying to make is that you know the fun from most of the games I play. I mean, just me personally. I imagine this is true for everyone, but I'm just going to put it through my own lens for now. Most of those games that I play and really enjoy, I enjoy because of the things they allow me to do, right? And not in the sense of like, okay, we scripted this out for you and you can do X, Y, and Z, but more so the stuff in between, right? Like I like it when in an RPG they're like, hey, you can do X, Y, and Z, and then you're like, okay, well, I don't want to do X, Y, and Z, and so you try a different thing, and then to your surprise, it works because they knew that someone would think of a thing like that, and they're like, okay, yeah, just put it in. You know, that's one of my favorite things to see in a game is to see when you try to push the boundaries of the game, they've come prepared, you know, and they push back. They're like, okay, you want to do this, and we're gonna react in this way, you know, like non-playable characters, right? If you want to kill a so-called important NPC, why not? I mean, personally, I think a game that's meant to be based around player freedom, like an RPG is, should allow the player to do things, you know, no matter how ridiculous they are. Because the whole point is that the player has freedom, you know, and freedom is not like a it's not really a thing you can put a limit on, right? Because once you do that, it's not really free. You can't say like, oh yeah, it's we have this real cool new RPG. You can do whatever you want, accept this and accept this and accept this and this. It's like, well, at that point, can I really do anything I want? Or is that just a marketing ploy, you know? But a lot of that can be done. I mean, it takes a lot of extra time and effort, but that's what makes it so special, honestly, is knowing that somebody thought about it. You know, genuinely thought about the player and was like, I'm going to put this in for those few people that are going to try this. You know, even though this is probably going to be an extremely small minority, I'm just going to go ahead and hook them up, you know? Um, in fact, the first time I played Fallout New Vegas, I just kind of goofed around. Like this isn't the character that I'm using now, because now I have like a real legit character. But originally, I was just gonna play as like a crazy psychopath guy that just kills everybody. You know, that like uses them and then kills them. And literally, first thing I did was like the doctor patched me up, and then was like, okay, you're good to go. And then I snuck into a nearby room, grabbed a straight razor, and came back and killed him with it. And then just left. And then went to the gun store and couldn't afford any of the guns. So I stole one right in front of the guy and shot him with it. And then took all the rest of the guns in the building and left. You know, and a lot of modern games would not allow you to do a thing like that. They'd be like, "Oh, you failed." You know, like Call of Duty comes to mind when talking about stuff like that. I remember being like really off-put by it originally. Even though I loved Black Ops, the first one, I remember playing through the campaign, and there was like a couple follow missions, and if you don't follow perfectly, like right when it wants you to, if you try to explore it all or go off in a different direction, it gives you like a little countdown thing, and then you die. And that's really, really lame. I know that you can't endlessly render it in any direction, but um, it's just kind of lame to have this like hugely immersion breaking and at times frustrating mechanic of just telling the player like, no, 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 no. You have to play the game our way. I know you play these games because you want to be a part of the story, but no, 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 no. This game is going to be like a movie, and you're just going to sit back and do what we want you to do. And it's super distracting to see a game like adopt that sort of thing, because that is very much counterintuitive in my opinion. Thing that makes games so special is as you get the amazing visual storytelling akin to a movie, along with the length and complexity of a good book, and on top of that, half the time it's if not more, it's sort of like almost like a choose your own adventure type thing, because you get to play a role in that story. Usually it's the central role. Say if you're playing something like I said, like Call of Duty, most of the time you're going to be, I mean, the game wants to pretend that you're just some random soldier, but it always makes you the most powerful dude in the whole game because you're always taking out like whole armies by yourself. Um, but the point is, most of them, put you in that central role. Um, but even that really isn't necessary. And that's a thing that like a lot of other mediums can't handle as well, right? Because say you want to switch the primary viewpoint of the story, you want to switch the main character. You can do that on the fly in a video game. In a book, you have to figure out how to make the transition, all smooth and whatnot, and it's quite difficult. I mean, writing in general is quite difficult, but to have like a hard break like that, and then have to be able to explain that away properly is it's just an extra challenge on top of things. And in a game, you can simply just tell the player at the beginning, like, hey, you have the ability to switch between these different characters. And you can even let them make all the characters as custom characters, give them names, give them backstories, all that kind of stuff. You can do whatever you want. Um, and so then you can seamlessly switch between those two, because you can establish within like the first few seconds that like, hey, you can play as any one of these people. And so I guess in that sense, the main protagonist is not really fixed with a thing like that, and you can kind of create your own little story out of it. I mean, they generally do have limits, but it's only up to like what the programmers are cool with, or what they're able to handle putting in. Like, for example, it'd be kind of difficult to make it so that you could play. Actually, no, it wouldn't. I forget this has been done in a lot of games. But I was gonna say to make it where you can play as multiple characters and then still have them die and then continue on as the main character from any one of them. But that's not really true because there are a lot of games that allow you to play with like a squad and kind of switch control between them. And then, just when one dies, you can switch to another one that's living. But I forget the original Rainbow Six does that just fine, so never mind on that. I guess it isn't all that difficult. And it's kind of funny because I struggled to think of really very many scenarios at all where it is, difficult to achieve a certain thing in storytelling through games. Because it's such a good medium. And I mean, at this point, games as art is pretty well established. And I mean, we do have people that, would disagree with that sort of thing, and the kind of contrarians that are gonna try to, kind of kill the mood of all these sorts of things, like Andrzej Sapkowski, however you say his name, the writer of the Witcher books. He's probably the best example I can think of. Because after all the good that CD Projekt Red did The Witcher as a concept, as an idea and a series, the man continues to be stubborn and refuse to admit that CD Projekt Red has helped him, and that these games are worthwhile and a good means of storytelling. And I don't think he hates games, but I think he kind of resents the fact that most people who know about The Witcher don't know about The Witcher games because of the books, but they know about The Witcher books because of the games. And he's been pretty open about denying that. It's just kind of sad to see because, I've seen interviews and stuff where he's talking about like gaming not really being like a good serious means of storytelling, and you see stuff like Red Dead Redemption 2 and all that, and you're like, what are you talking about, man? I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about personally, but it doesn't really matter as long as somebody listens. I mean, in a sense, I guess you could say at that point I've still kind of achieved what I wanted either way. This thing's coming together pretty nice. I'm starting to link it a little bit. It honestly doesn't take as long as it looks like it does. Just every now and then, just pop it on for an hour or two. Just, just building kind of randomly. Just as long as it looks coherent and fits the theme and it looks good. Like one of the main things that I like to play with here, and I'm sorry for switching subjects. I'm like super tired and I don't really know what I'm talking about at this point anyway. But one of the most important things to me when building a thing like this is the lighting, which is why I put hidden things in the walls like this to create like this beautiful lighting as you walk into the room. And the shadows are equally as important. You know, kind of how it makes this interesting little cross shape with the lights on the floor here. And then when you go through here, the light in the pool looks beautiful at night. And then you can especially tell in here because I've put the lights down there. It just creates this nice little lighting effect. Just pleasing to the eye. It's really what the whole thing is about. You know, just practical enough to be believable and very, very pleasing to the eye. And now this little overlook thing actually has something to overlook, so that's quite nice. Too bad you can't see the bottom part of it, because this view is not exactly the most beautiful. It's not terrible. I got my silly little balcony here. This is probably my least favorite part of the whole thing, because I don't really feel as if I've fleshed that out properly. I'll probably add something to that at some point. But this part is just downright gorgeous. Especially right there. The little tint in the water from the plants and all that. Looks beautiful. And then, you know, walking through the sugarcane farm here. It's also quite nice. This, by the way, is not actually a part of any of this. I was just experimenting with stairs and seeing what patterns I could make. Stairs are probably my most used tool out of anything. They provide like really nice texture to things. Now that night is falling on us, I'll take another little run through and look at how everything looks, you know, all lit up at night. It's interesting to see where the different points of light are and to kind of think about how that looks, you know, and whether or not that's visually coherent at all. Because that's also important to a degree, right? If you have like half the thing not lit up at all and then the other half is really lit up, it looks sloppy and unbalanced, kind of. So yeah, look at the lighting in there. That's gorgeous. Oh yeah, and I keep forgetting that I haven't finished building inside of here. I do have a little thing that that I've been meaning to finish. At some point that goes that'll go to a thing. Right now I just have a light as a placeholder to remind me that there is a bottom to this thing and that it's not just an empty hole. Personally, I think the pool over here looks especially pretty at night. I don't know, just something about it. The sea lanterns are a nice touch. And the balcony too. Just flows really nice. This part I quite like, but it also is somewhat annoying to me. I probably should have just done an open balcony. The thing is, from the outside, the open balcony looks worse, but from the inside, it looks better. Because you get more of a view. But you know, obviously from the outside, the lit up glass looks really cool. It's just, it's not very practical. This is the most recent part of the building. and you can actually kind of tell where my inspiration came from. I didn't mean to get rid of that block, by the way. I don't know what I did there. Let me put that back in. I definitely did not mean to have any floating blocks. This little segment is inspired by New Londo from Dark Souls. Because I'm a huge Dark Souls nerd and I couldn't help myself. I'm going to put the redstone torch over there. There we go. Fix that. Now it should look a little better. There we go. It's got this nice little seamless like hall of torches here. I like how they all line up. There's just something really aesthetically pleasing about that. And man, I love the lighting on those stairs there. If they actually led to something, that would probably be smarter, but I think for now, I like the kind of like ancient ruins kind of feel that it gives off. You know, the fact that it just leads off into nothing. Also, just as a side note, I thought that this would be quite cool to have the glass like not actually touch this part right here. So you have this dividing line where there is a hole, but it's not big enough to fall through. So it just creates like a little bit of separation, almost as if the glass is floating or on like some sort of catwalk or something. Looks very like futuristic, kind of. Just really pretty. This mildly bugs me because I cannot get a plant to go right here. I don't know why. I wanted to have them all lined up perfectly in a row, and kind of ticks me off that I can't get them symmetrical and I can't get one right in here. It's another little hall. Reminds me of something out of the first Halo game. I quite like that. And then the pool. It's a beautiful little pool area. I would provide like a little stair thing, but I don't know. Maybe I just haven't felt the incentive yet. Actually, I think it would be kind of cool to have an area like this. Yeah, that would be cool. Where it links in. Obviously, I'm going to go 3 blocks high for that real spacious look. So, my idea is to get these to connect. So if I keep them symmetrical, how many blocks wide is that? That's 2 blocks wide. Perfect. Oh no, that's not perfect. Never mind. Crap. Well, actually. Oh, that's what's been bugging me about that. Is that... Yeah, that's all wrong. This is where the stairs should be. Oh, that makes so much more sense. Thank goodness I caught that. Man, that was really bugging me for a while. Like, something just looked off. Because it didn't match. Anyway, oh, you know what? No. I could get that to work. In fact, where does this start? I'm gonna do sea lanterns as like a marking thing. Okay, so right here, I can delete these others for now. Don't need them. I just need the one right here to line these two up. And then so that's sort of where I'm going to have my entrance right here. Okay, and then oh, that works out beautifully. Oh, I know you guys have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm actually going to connect these two really quickly. I'll do it in kind of a cool way. So inside the archway, I'm going to leave, let's see, like a cube's worth of space, which means this whole wall is going to be quartz, and this floor will be quartz. And eventually this will go around and connect to the other thing over here. And I'll figure out how to build in some lighting for this as well at some point. But I'm going to connect these two little areas. Because it kind of bugged me that I didn't have stairs into the pool, because, I mean, to have to jump, I mean, whatever happened to luxury, you know? Having to actually do physical activities in a video game, you're asking for too much. Most of us don't even want to do physical activities alongside our video gaming. But to start asking us to work out in-game is too far. Too far, buddy, too far. Okay. So actually, how many blocks in is that? Actually, no, it doesn't matter. So, past here, if I go in 1, 2, so I could probably build it right here. Yep. Perfect. And then I could even have this built into a lower level, you know, going that way if I would like to. In fact, I think I will, if it is symmetrical, I'll find the two middle points and I will take those and I will turn them into a thing. Okay, keep it real spacious in here. Don't need to have any unnecessary claustrophobia here. In fact, I could have made these 4 things wide, but I don't know. Seemed like overkill. Don't want the road to be too wide, otherwise it seems mildly intimidating. There's a nice little line between claustrophobia and feeling like home. Right, because nice little comfy corridors are a good thing. But, you know, if this is like 1 block thick, that's a little too catacombsy. Little too, we ran out of money kind of feeling. Low budget architecture, I guess you could call it. Like not only akin to a catacomb type area, but also the kind of catacomb that they built real quick because they're like, crap, we gotta bury these guys somewhere. Not the kind that they planned out beforehand and were like, okay, in 100 years, you know, people will come to visit this and blah blah blah. Not that sort of thing. Man, if I want to be really edgy, I could make this whole thing a skylight. In fact, I kind of like that. Now that does expose some flaws with the way that I've built this, though. And those I'm going to need to fix. I do like that sort of like open feel though that provides. Hmm. Well, I got quiet for a minute. I was rambling and rambling and rambling and now I'm kind of quiet. What a strange way to live. To actually not talk. And not to just incessantly say what I'm thinking. Hmm. I don't know what to do about this part. No, that looks bad that way. I don't know how I feel about it yet. Hmm. It certainly is interesting. Um, Let's see. Is there a good way to light this? Seems kind of funny and counterintuitive to put torches all over the place when it's a skylight, doesn't it? It's a bit silly. I could just not have it be a skylight, but personally I think it's kind of interesting having it be one. I don't know, let's say that we took that aspect back out and replaced it with these blocks. What kind of a feeling would that leave us with? And would it be more tonally consistent with the rest of it? I could do glass walls with quartz behind them, or water behind them. That's always pretty looking as well. I think that's a little bit more visually coherent. Now, I don't even know what the point of this part would be. We'll just make it look interesting for now. Okay, so visually, you should have like a dark hallway here. And then one. Don't think I'm crazy yet. Bear with me here. So that leaves one block, and then the thing. No, that wouldn't work. Not unless the path started there, but it won't. Um, I don't know how to scroll through this properly. Because half the time I try to go through here, it skips like most of the items. I'm going to use some black concrete in place of this because I'm definitely not going to use that right now. And then I'll use white concrete as well. Oh crap, no. That's what should be there. Okay, and then stained glass, obviously. So we do black stained glass as a substitute for the water for now. Okay, and then two holes deep hallway. This could be a terrible mistake, but I'm gonna see how it goes. Actually, it probably will be a mistake, judging as I've already done this pattern in the pool itself. So either it'll look really consistent or it'll look really terrible. One of the two. Maybe both. And if I'm going one layer deeper like that and using glass, then I'm also going to have to do this. That way you don't have any parts that show through. And if you don't already know what I'm doing, I'm making a checkered floor that looks like it has some polish. So I'm going to start with black here. Actually going to start with white for most of them just so I can see around. Okay, and then white on white and black on black. There we go. I think that'll look quite nice. I don't know. Normally it looks better than that. I don't know why it doesn't right now. We're just gonna pretend this doesn't exist. Goodbye, checkerboard floor. Or checkerboard floor. That's what I meant to say. Not checkerboard. Okay. Oh man, I'm just having a good old time relaxing. I wonder if I can make like an interesting little... No, that's terrible. But hey, I tried. Hmm. Hmm. That looks crooked, but it's not, is it? I don't like it. Well, this is certainly one idea. Hopefully you can still see my my stream okay. It says that the internet is not sufficient to broadcast the gameplay right now. But half the time that's not true. In the sense that it will keep streaming anyway. Because it's simply a case of my internet dipping a little bit. Hopefully you can actually see something. If you can't, it really sucks. That actually doesn't look half bad. I don't know, I'm kind of okay with it. It's got a very like aquatic clean, dang it, clean, like pool type look. I dig it. I dig it. Okay. What did that look like? If I were to continue that pattern around in there. Looks kind of weird. Not the biggest fan of that. Is a neat idea, but I don't know. Also, what would that look like? It's not terrible. I kind of like that in a way because it's got this like interesting turning look. Yeah, that's quite nice actually. Something about that is just visually appealing to me. Okay. Now, would that look too stupid? It might. I don't know. It's semi-stupid, but not completely stupid. So it could work. No, it's pretty stupid. I feel like that blends maybe a tiny bit better as well. Yeah, that's very nice and visually coherent. I dig it. So now that that is settled, how do I go about this part? Oh, that works. That looks better. Still don't know how I feel about that part though. How many blocks tall is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, now does that ruin the space? Or is it fine? It's probably fine. Hmm. I could always just do that for fun. Oh, this won't work, will it? Because that's a stair. Crap. Okay. Never mind on that idea. But you know what would work? Yeah, that works quite nice. Okay. There we go. I kind of like that. That's kind of funny. Hmm. I don't know how I feel about those. It's a design choice that I'm not 100% certain on yet. Also, this is just too much texture for me. I feel like I did too much there. There you go. It's a little cleaner looking. And also that could probably be pushed one block further back. Let's see how that would change things aesthetically. Hmm. I could have that hollow out a bit. I don't know. Hey, that's kind of visually interesting. Well, that's a fun thing my controller likes to do every now and then. It likes to disconnect in the weirdest way possible. I like that. I like how that turns out. Okay. So, visually interesting room, check. For sure. Visually interesting room entrance, check. It's not that noticeable from the outside, so that's good. Now what if I get rid of black stained glass and replace white stained glass panes? There we go. That works. No, that didn't work. Or does it? I don't know. I don't know how I feel. Hmm. I don't know how I feel about that part yet. But I don't hate it, so there's no reason to quit with it. It's just, I'm skeptical a little bit. Just gonna replace some of the landscape out here with more of these blocks. There we go. I'm gonna fill all this out as if it's one structure and then see how that looks. If it doesn't look good, then we're screwed. Because I'm not putting all the dirt back there. Because there's no way I'm gonna remember what orientation it was all in. But we won't be screwed because it'll work. I'll figure it out either way. There we go. We could technically make that hollow. Because you'd never see it, so you'd never know. I'm gonna make this even on the other side just because I feel like that would look good. Man, I got really quiet. Sorry about that. For some of you, that might be a good thing, but eh. If you want to make it even cooler, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Okay. Okay. Okay, that is actually pretty cool. I think I'm okay with that. Oh, I'm tired as heck. Oh, what time is it? Oh, that's why it's like almost 2:30 in the morning. Hmm. I feel like that works well enough, because you can kind of walk through all that. That is quite beautiful, actually. I think I'm pretty happy with that, with how everything's turning out so far. Just a massive monumental structure. And everything's just working out so well. So I still haven't taken away the tropical look of that, and I've added it a little bit over here. Everything's still coherent. Still consistent. This still leads in there, it still leads over there. But now we have a new balcony. And the view from it is pretty nice. We have all this stuff. Our little room off to the side. Just a nice little hidden room. I quite like it. Oh man, if it weren't for all the rambling and then crazy quiet times and all that kind of crap, it would have been a pretty perfect stream. If I could have just been consistent, like vocally. Anyway, I'm pretty darn happy with it. I think it's for the most part, pretty much downright gorgeous. So, I hope you guys like it too. I'll probably stream more of this tomorrow. Love you guys. Thank you for watching. Good night. And, yeah, sweet dreams, guys. Adios.